It gives me great pleasure to introduce our very next speaker, Architect Sriram Ganapathi, Managing Director of KSM Architecture, Chennai, a leading firm that designs sustainable and eco-friendly buildings.
Everybody, I am Sriram Ganapathi from KSM Architecture. Today I'm going to be speaking on climate responsive and sustainable architecture that our firm practices and we believe in. So without much ado, I'll just move straight into my presentation. So KSM Architecture, we are a 30-year-old firm, and we've been in business of doing climate responsive and sustainable design for some years now. I just run through a few of our projects, and they have also been I've kind of categorized the whole talk in these four verticals. I'm just running you through some of our projects. I talk about solar strategies, where we look at how we handle the way we design or respond to the movement of the sun. The first thing we do in most of our projects is to study the sun path for that particular area. So this is just an example of how it is in Chennai. So we make sure that we analyze every building for the duration of the day, how the sun moves around it, and whatever the activity that the building supports. We try to shade, protect the building in such a manner that we let in the air, let in the light, cut the glare, and try to shade the building from excess heat. So it sounds like a very simple strategy, and it's something that we've been doing for all our projects. So this was is an ashram. It's for a memorial for a Hindu saint who had passed away. He just converted his home to a kind of a memorial. So the strategy here was to create a kind of a yatra, a walk around, like a parikrama around the house. So the intention was to view into the various rooms that he had used for people who were his students and disciples all around the world who visit, and spend some time to stop by each of those areas that they remember him having used. And then they walk around and end the entire parikrama in one space where they sit and meditate, and then they move on. So this is in his ashram near Coimbatore. So the strategy here was that people would be walking around this memorial in the early morning hours or in the late evening hours. So the challenge was the amount of glare that would fall into the glass, so that you would not really be able to see the inside, even if it is illuminated. So we decided that we do a simple shading strategy that would cut the glare, and this was done with very close and accurate calculations of the sun angles during the time people would walk around. So like between 6 and 11 in the morning, and between 3 and 6 in the evening. So it was imperative that we needed to shade the glass in such a manner that there was not too much of glare from the sun, and with an adequate amount of lighting on the inside, it gave a nice feel, and we could just cut the glare. So this is some of the strategies that we use uh, from a visual standpoint to that. Okay. Solar strategies also include shading the building by itself. So this is a school building that we worked on, where we needed to, we had rooms, it was a smallish site, and we had rooms that faced all the 4 directions, north, south, and east and west. So we decided we'll just design an envelope to wrap around the whole building, and we worked with a glass fiber reinforced concrete panels that we created a kind of a screen on the outside, and again calculated the critical sun angles because the schools operate between 8 a.m. and 3 p.m. So for depending on which direction it faced, we devised different kind of spacing for these panels, and shaded the building completely, so the windows could be left open at all times. Certain double-loaded corridors, we lit it from the top. We had skylights on the top, and again naturally ventilated. So we dropped the light coming through 2 floors, so it would even light up laboratories at the bottom, which had some polycarbonate panels on the ceiling. So natural lighting and shading at the same time. So this was the end results. This entire building is wrapped around it. Keep the windows open, the sun doesn't come inside directly, and we get light at all times and air as well. The use of brick as a shading device, as a screen. So we use this as an envelope because it just so easily cuts the glare, but it again gaps in between to a honeycomb kind of a thing, which just fits in. Yeah, it's an age-old practice. We've been doing this for years and years. So, so we use this in an office building where we just had these 600mm wide panels of either brick or glass, and distributed it all around the facade and all the 4 sides. So it brings in uniformly distributed light, but it also shades the building from the sun. We used a similar strategy for a school building as well. So we've got this wraparound brick, but we used fly ash bricks over here. So it's a honeycomb brick wall, brings in air and light inside, shades the building on the inside completely from air and this is an office building that we've done. Here again, the client wanted a complete glass box. So we gave them a glass box, but we also gave them a skin around the glass box, stating that this is definitely going to cut your heat that you get inside the office. So we also worked in such a manner that the screen that is there on the outside gave you 60% opening, but the perforations were small. So it is almost like a wave. So sitting inside, you can actually view out very clearly, but from outside, you really can't look in. It gives you the privacy that they had asked for, but also cuts the glare completely. So it's like a perforated aluminum screen that wraps around the building. A small office on the terrace that a client wanted as an extension to his house. Once he grew a little older, he said, I want to move my office inside. So we used the roof over the garage and some of the utilities that we had, we just put on top of the steps. We did a rooftop office. So this was, it needed to be lightweight, so we just had a steel structure on the top of glass, and we just shaded the glass again sensibly. So this is like a northern facade where the sun falls. You have a high angle sun in Chennai between March, end of March to early September. So we used circular aluminum pipes and inclined them in a manner that in an angle that would beat the sun, especially during office hours of between 9:30 and 5. So this works as a strategy where you don't really need to use blinds and you can shade your glass from the direct sun. A low-cost school, since the school was built at 10 years ago, 2011, it was built at about 1,000, less than 1,200 rupees a square foot. So we just did fair face brickwork and concrete panels as shading devices. So we worked this school almost completely without windows because we figured that we create a screen wall on the outside made out of brick and concrete panels that cut the sun and glare and set it away by about 6 feet, by about 1.8 meters. So we were able to actually just keep grills and ventilate the classrooms and kept the sun and rain out. So it is a simple strategy using just fair face brickwork and concrete slabs horizontally that would break the sun angles. Moving on to strategies related to ventilation. What have we looked at? Ventilation. I'm just running through a few projects. This is a home done in Chennai, and our predominant wind direction in Chennai is from the south, and we also have some east breeze. So here we primarily wanted to harness the breeze from the south. So traditionally in southern Tamil Nadu, coastal Tamil Nadu, we have a thing called Kaatru Pandal, translated in English as wind pavilion, where we use a single side sloped structure, which would face the direction of the wind and can just funnel the breeze into the indoor spaces. So this is a simple strategy, and we just employed it in the central spine of the house. So this is a kind of a central corridor with rooms on either sides of it. So it just funnels the breeze from the south, coming from a height of almost 7 meters, and then brings it down to almost 2.4 meters. So it kind of accelerates as it goes down, and then it releases it on the rooms on either sides. So this has worked pretty well, and so this is essentially the wind pavilion that you would see, and it's actually 2 floors high there, just above the chair, and then it just funnels down. And these rooms, the doors open, windows open, just kind of funnels the breeze through. A similar strategy is used in a very tiny house. This is a barely 750 square foot plot of land in a very small house. Again, the strategy of harnessing the breeze from the south that would come in with a kind of a wind catching pavilion, which actually also doubles up as a stairs board. It funnels the air through and funnels it through openings on the inside, like some from the roof and some have a kind of an opening there, just like cross ventilates the house completely. So that's your wind catcher, which comes from there, goes through, and every room facing south has operable timber slats. These timber slats used from it's reclaimed timber, which is put together. So you operate it open, let the south breeze in, and you shut it completely, it cuts the heat and glare. We've used a similar strategy in our office in Chennai. So we've got these wind catchers on the southern side at the highest point of the house, of the building. So it kind of harnesses the breeze from the south, and we let it through, just runs through the office. We also open out some windows on the eastern side, where you get some sea breeze, which is sometime later in the afternoon. So the idea is to harness all the available breeze, because the temperature of the cool air that comes, even in summers in Chennai, is actually cool. So it's a good idea to bring that breeze in, even when it is warm inside. We move to the third strategy that I'm talking about in this presentation, about the insulation of the envelope around, whether it's the wall or the roof. So I just run a few projects over here. We've used laterite as an envelope for an apartment building. We've got a thicker wall. The wall is made thicker by this additional skin of laterite wall that we have, 150 millimeter thick wall that wraps completely around and thereby makes the wall, the thermal mass of the wall, that much thicker, sets the windows in a bit, but gives a very, very cool interior, because it just cuts the heat, the sun falling on it, just cuts the heat transmitted inside negatively. A similar strategy for a house where we used perforated brick. It's actually ventilated through and through. So this wraps around every wall around the house. It just cuts the heat gain tremendously. So this is the same house that has that wind pavilion, which is behind this door, but it's also wrapped around completely by this additional layer of brick wall. So what about the roof? The roof actually constitutes for 65% of the heat gain on tropics. So this is a factory. We've done the administrative office. It's under construction, so we are currently working with this. So we decided why not we've used jack arches, brick jack arches in the past. So we thought that we use it on this factory building. So the strategy is to have a cavity wall all along the sides, brick cavity walls, and then use brick for the roof as well, and reduce the thermal mass from the top. And because of the amount of brick that we're using over here, is very close to this factory complex, there are some brick kilns that produce fabulous bricks. So we just thought that we make this entire factory office building out of brick for the walls, for the roof, and for the floors. So these are some of the renders, images of what is being done. It's under construction, should be ready by the end of this year, but this is an exciting project as well. It's just interspersed with codes, but jack arches as well. In our own office, we've used an insulated roof. Basically, the roof has got a polyfill. It's like a sandwich slab, but a bottom slab, upstand beams running across the width of the span of the office. And the infill is 250 millimeters thick polystyrene foam with the top slab. So that completely insulates the roof from heat. So once you keep the heat outside keep it outside of your envelope, then and if you're able to get some cool breeze in, then I think you've made your interior that much more comfortable. So this is some of the inside spaces. You can see the depth of the skylight over there is the depth of the slab. Is the inclusive of the infill, polyfoam. Some other aspects, just like the environment. Often we found complaints that birds roosting in some of our cavity walls or jardies and stuff like that. So we figured that for birds to roost, especially pigeons, which is now quite a menace in many buildings because of the droppings and the rooms over there. It kind of messes up quite a bit of your, your metal and paint and everything. And there's also supposed to be a health hazard because of the air that we breathe because of birds roosting, especially pigeons and doves roosting in the building. So we figured that if the brick cavity or the jali height is 50 millimeters, these pigeons don't roost. So we did some experiments and actually found that the pigeons actually don't roost at 50 millimeters. So we got bricks made specifically that are 50 millimeters and used it in our office buildings and in this school building as well. So we don't have pigeons roosting over here. And, it does the job of shading the building, does the job of letting in the air, but keeps the birds away. This is the factory building. So this factory, the reason it's here is because we just looked at making a single envelope and putting all the entities of the factory inside. This is primarily to get an indoor environment in such a manner that everyone is kind of equal. It's kind of a social approach to an industrial planning where the factory workers, the offices, the corporate staff of the factory, they all eat together in the same environment. They're growing trees inside. There is a beautiful forest at the edge of this industrial park. So we've actually glazed that entire wall, but we've gone with the ceramic fitted glass that would allow them to have a view while they're doing work inside. So this is actually an environment where we've kind of put everything under one roof, so to speak. And we've also done some man cooling systems where we've got air conditioning the floor and ducts running the floor, throwing the conditioned air, but we're not talking about very, very cold temperatures, but we're talking about 28, 29 degrees Celsius. It also acts as a kind of a dehumidifier. So we're doing some controlled conditioning, but trying to create an environment that's happy. People are looking at landscape, looking at trees growing inside the factory. In fact, these trees today are touching the roof and they're needed to be constantly trimmed. The glass is ceramic fitted so we don't have so much glare coming inside. And views of the forest beyond through the ceramic fitted glass, air conditioning, controlled air conditioning for the workers inside. Looking at how landscape can really work the microclimate. So this building has been designed in such a manner in the central courtyard, which is fairly large. We planted rows of trees inside that eventually in the years to come, these photographs have been taken about 2.5, 3 years since these trees have been planted. So these trees will be, in fact, now they're already the height of the roof over there, so they're already shading this courtyard on either sides. And very soon the entire courtyard is going to be shaded by these 6 trees, and all locally grown trees in Chennai, which are slow growing but very, very good shade. And it shades the building, shades the environment around. In our own office, we've used landscape to shape the building. It's actually inexpensive, completely inexpensive and beautiful way to shade a building. So we've got a jasmine creeper, an evergreen jasmine creeper that shades us from the northern sun, high angle northern sun. And like this, the one on the left is actually the northern side. It shades all the glass on this side. And on the western wall, we've got a sun-loving creeper, that flowering creeper actually, that grows up over here. It just has grown layers and layers over this wall. It's just planted down in the ground. It's gone all the way up and it's come down, and now we just straighten it up to go up again. So it's like a thick layer now, which shades the building. Glare is another concern that we always have. So this is again the same school that we spoke about. So this is the perforated screen on the outside, glass fiber reinforced concrete. So, so the light is there, but the glare has been cut off. So it makes it largely glare free. So we're able to have large windows without blinds, but we cut the glare on the outside. Again, our office, we've got a lot of glass. We use a lot of glass, but we don't like to use blinds. So we've used a bamboo screen on the outside, which cuts the glare, lets the air through on the south side, lets the south breeze in. In fact, also acts like a kind of a dust trap, brings in the light, but cuts the glare completely on the inside. So our office is pretty much encapsulates all what we believe in climate responsive and sustainable design. We've got wind catchers to bring in the breeze inside the office. We've insulated the roof with polyfoam, made a double slab. We've shaded our buildings with bamboo, with creepers. So by keeping a cool indoor environment, naturally cool indoor environment, by letting in the air whenever it's available, the south breeze from south side, which is ambient at all times, all through the year pretty much. The sea breeze that sets in the afternoon comes in from the east. We run the air conditioners. We are actually air conditioning free for more than 7.5 months in a year. In Chennai, that's quite a good achievement, I would say. So this is what KSM Architecture stands for. This is our little office that we have built 5 years ago after we turned 25. Today we are 30. We believe that climate responsive architecture, sustainable design is the way forward. And we have built our own office in the same manner. And that's really, we feel, the best way that we can convince people that there is no other way than sustainability, sustainable design, climate responsive design to really help our environment. So that's my presentation for today. Thank you very much. I wish you all the best. Thank you. Thank you very much. This looks like a fantastic platform with so many speakers who are all leading lights in their own areas of expertise and practice. So I'm sure this will be a great source of knowledge and knowledge sharing for the students and all the participants in this conference. So my best wishes to the organizers and to the students and all the students. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Architect Sriram Ganapathi, for an insightful presentation. I'm sure the audience gained a lot from today's session. We will be now taking a short break to play our sponsor's video, and we'll be back with our next speaker.
I have great pleasure in welcoming you all for the Let's Connect program of Nippon Paint India Private Limited. This program is specifically developed for the architect and the interior designer community to be part of the Nippon Paint family. Nippon Paint, as you all know, is part of the NIPSEA group, which is 137 years old, originated from Japan, and we have widely spread into all the Asian countries. In India, Nippon Paint was started in the year 2006, and that's when Indian Green Building Council was gaining momentum, and since the DNA of Nippon Paint is green, so we joined them in their campaigning of green initiatives, and we became the founding member of IGBC, Indian Green Building Council. And right from 2006 onwards, we have been associated with all their initiatives towards sustainable products and services. And we are the first company to be registered and certified as Green Co for all our manufacturing process. and the products which come out of the factory is also certified as Green Pro. Through this Let's Connect program, we would like to take your unique ideas and your projects through video shoots and sound bites to the industry people and to the audience who are eagerly waiting. Through this Let's Connect program, we create an opportunity for you to share your unique ideas and success stories. You will also have an access to be part of the AYDA program of Nippon Paint and also into various architectural conferences, CSR activities what Nippon is carrying out in this country. AYDA is a very unique initiative of Nippon Paint wherein it encourages and enriches the young architect and interior designing students across Asia, and we call this as Asia's Young Designer Award, wherein we want experts like you to mentor them. Through this program, we also create an opportunity for you to meet your peers and work with them closely across the globe. This platform also allows you to create an access to the tools and product information of Nippon Paint, and also there will be a dedicated Nippon team working closely with you. I once again take this opportunity to welcome you all into this Let's Connect program for a mutually beneficial experience. Let's connect.
Welcome to the course Color Psychology. The first module, The Background of Color, will give you an overview of multiple perceptions in color. We will learn about the scientific background.
I have scientific proof that white light is composed of 7 component colors.
Understand basics of color theory. Take inspirations from colors in nature.
Context matters, you know.
Teleport to different time zones to get historical perspectives of color.
Is Greek architecture devoid of colour? Isn't it completely white?
And finally, dig deep into the human mind to get psychological perspectives of color. We will then go on to explore color in various spatial typologies of architecture and interiors. A transition from theory to practice would happen in the last module on practice and application of color. The journey would be immersive with fun quizzes and activities along the way. Join us in this colorful, fun-filled journey.
Hey!